Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to get going on tonight's public forum. My name is Chris Pia, Town Council Chairman. Today is November 8th, 2021. It is 6:45 p.m. and Council Clerk Paquette is grabbing our sign-up list. So bear with us. Okay, we have a few people signed up. As always, everyone just remember we have 3 minutes per person, and if you could just state your name and address for the record, we appreciate it. So the first signed up is Stephanie.
So, good evening. My name is Stephanie Phillips. My address is 41 Yarwood Street. And as you might expect, I wanted to give you just a quick update. I know Chris Timniak can do it better than I can, but we had 2 successful meetings on the flooding, both at Baldwin Center and at the South End. I thought there was good communication, a good open dialogue. I think there was some sincere effort that we're going to work on this together, and I think it was overall positive, and people got to express what they felt. At this point, there are more meetings that need to be planned. I'm formally asking that, and I don't know who's the chair now, to put the flooding in the South End on the, I think, Public Works, if you still have your Public Works Committee, so that it can be formalized as we seek the funding and put the project in place. I know that there's funding from various sources. The transportation money looks like it may have come through. It's going to be in the millions. We all know it's going to be expensive. So that was the first thing, but it's a positive move forward, and I'm very happy about that. And as long as we keep making progress, and I'm hoping it becomes part of your agenda so that you keep the public updated, I think it will be a very good movement for all of us. And it's not just the South End. There are other parts of town. I don't want to make it sound like there's not. There are areas everywhere. But once we get moving, I think we can include everybody. There are different issues for different areas, okay? The next thing I wanted to do is, and it's a good segue, to congratulate Caitlin Shake, on your recount today. Congratulations, as will all of you who have won your elections. Congratulations very much. I'm very proud of you, and especially my own Councilman Tavares, which is nearing his last couple of meetings. He's been my councilman and my predecessor, and I'm very proud of him, and he's been helping me lead the flooding issues together, and I hope that he can remain involved and be assistance. So with that, I'm going to pass this around. Huh? Yeah, a bomb in a small package, right? So I am sharing some goodwill from our leftover candy collection, which, by the way, is, it'll go on my stomach if I don't share it, so you're really helping me. But please choose something you like. I hope it leads to some good favor. I'm certainly not abashed to offer candy for some good favor as a cup of coffee. And I really want to thank you all for this service to the town. So thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next up, Tim Bristol. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Tim Bristol. I live at 9 Ridge Road in the 7th District. I just want to start by, unfortunately, my councilman isn't here right now, but I wanted to wish him the best in his future endeavors. Same thing to Councilman Tavares. I want to wish you the best, and, you know, if you ever need a grilled cheese, you know where to come. And everyone who won their re-elections, congratulations to you guys too. What I wanted to speak about tonight was the public forum itself. I spoke about it last month, but there's something that I really wanted to talk about having the public forum as part of the town council meeting. I've spoken to people from other towns who have public forum as part of their town council meetings, And they see it as a constructive way to get public input when everyone is here, and have it being part of the town business encourages more civic participation by the town. And I know that one of the pushbacks on that is civility and going over time and all that, but you can still put time limits on people and have them give public comment during the town council meetings and have it be productive. It's, like I said, it's a good way to increase, people showing up to town council meetings. It's a good way to get engagement from the town. And it's a good way to have a public discussion about things that are important to the people in the town. And that's it. Thanks for letting me talk.
Thank you, Tim. Next individual on the list, Immaculate Ken.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words. Today, I would like to really reiterate what Tim Bristol was talking about regarding the issue of transparency. As it relates to the American Rescue Plan money that we will be getting, it is wonderful that Stratford will be getting approximately $26 million. And this money is meant to be spent a specific way. And some of the ways that we can spend it is through public health needs, repairing economic damages, providing premium pay for essential workers, and building water and broadband infrastructure. This money is specifically not to be used to offset tax cuts. That's important that we follow that. Our neighbors in Bridgeport and Milford, they've held public and virtual forums to get input from their citizens, and they are really coming up with some very innovative solutions, on how to really spend the money. But here in Stratford, and I'm going to say this verbatimly, according to the chief of staff that we have, he actually said, the regularly scheduled public hearing ahead of the council meeting will be the opportunity for the public to be heard. We're talking about these same hearings which receive no responses from elected officials. We're talking about the same hearings that we are all just speaking to ourselves. The community deserves true input, oversight of the vitally important decisions like this, and at the absolute least, we deserve public discussions among our representatives to help us understand how we came up with decisions. That's true transparency. When you talk about transparency, it's important that we keep our word to the public and to our community. Thank you very much.
Next on the list, signed up, is Lisette.
Hello, Lisette Franceschi here. I live at 155 Larkin Court in Stratford, Connecticut, 06615. I just wanted to address a quick concern regarding fire hydrants. I want to piggyback off of Immaculate Can. She's addressing the fact that funds are going towards the art, the public, or the health, or the American, what was it, the American Rescue, yes, sorry. However, I did want to address one concern is that fire hydrants, they are having their metal rods that stick out for the emergencies. I had an incident over about a week and a half ago where my son was injured. Fiberglass, whatever rust is coming off of there, is definitely dangerous. I had to go to the ER with my 3-year-old due to that. So I would highly recommend that you guys inform that maybe they should all be replaced in regards to that, because I don't know how many of them could be rusted, but that was an incident over a week and a half ago that we had experienced. Didn't know that that was even a case, but something brand new. Just wanted to throw that out there. That was one of my main concerns that happened over. I did have to call Public Works, and Public Works did come out and replace for a new one. But again, that might be happening in other fire hydrants, so I would just recommend that you guys please follow up regarding that, because it could be in other fire hydrants as well, just to prevent that from other children or friends and family to be injured in that kind of case. It's not fun. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody who has not signed up or had the opportunity to sign up that would like to? No problem. Hang on 1 second. If you just, if you just state your, no, you can actually, you can remove it if you like to. So just state your name, your address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Rice, and I live at 181 Boston Avenue in Stratford, and I'm the councilwoman-elect for District 4. I wanted to talk about the South End and the flooding. Again, I want to talk about how bad the issue is in the South End. When I walked around and I saw the damages to the foundation, even this past Saturday with no rain, Surf Avenue managed to be flooded. Didn't see any horses out there or any police lights. It was an unbelievable thought that I had just passed by and it was dry, and minutes later it was completely flooded. I think this is devastating to homeowners who pay some of the highest taxes in Stratford to come home to flooded roads and foundations that are crumbling. So I urge you to consider where you're going to be spending those ARP funds, and to please put the South End first on the priority for the flooding. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Anybody else who has not signed up and would like the opportunity to speak? Just name and address for the record, Linda.
I want to say congratulations to all those that won. Those that fell a little behind, I wish them the best of luck. They did a fantastic job.
Just state your name and address for the record.
Pardon?
Your name and address, Linda.
Oh,
Thank you.
I got to give that too. You want a blood type? Linda Palermo, 46 Fort Place, Stratford, Connecticut. I wasn't really prepared this evening. I wasn't going to speak. I've had a real rough day. But I wish everybody the very best of luck, and especially those babies. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Is there anybody else who would like to speak who has not had the opportunity to sign up? If you could just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Kathleen Callahan. I live in the 10th District, 271 Castle Drive. Thank you, Honorable Chairman Pia and the other distinguished members of the Town Council for the time to speak. I want to thank those of you who are finishing up your service with the Council, and congratulate those who have been re-elected. I'm here to share my thoughts on the Zoning Commission's favorable recommendation to opt out of the accessory dwelling unit provisions of Public Act 2129. Earlier this year, this elected membership endorsed the Stratford Housing Partnership's 2021-26 Housing Strategies for Stratford report. A recommendation to enable more housing options was to revisit accessory dwelling unit regulations. The report you endorsed asked consideration of allowing additions for accessory apartments and eliminating restrictive requirements given the needs in our town. The age of Stratford's population is weighted toward the ends, an abundance of young and older adults. These naturally affordable units are excellent housing options for our next generation, students and others starting out on their own, and our seniors looking to age in place and possibly requiring on-site care for health conditions. Additionally, these units have shown to increase property values while providing rental income to homeowners, and since accessory apartments are built where housing already exists, they are environmentally efficient. As we look to increase housing options for our residents, it's important to remember their input in the report's survey. About 1/2 to 2/3 of survey participants indicated they were housing cost burdened. About 1/2 to 2/3 of survey participants were concerned about their long-term ability to be able to afford to stay in Stratford. That could be the neighbor on either side of you. While I understand there was a public forum prior to the Zoning Commission's favorable recommendation vote, I also understand there is a lack of communication to our residents about what happens in this building, what happens in towns across the country, as local newspapers and television news channels are replaced by vacuous social media echo chambers. Public Act 2129 allows municipalities until December 31st, 2022 to opt out before accessory dwelling units become as a right on January 1st, 2023. So I ask, what is the rush? Why is it acceptable to expect residents to seek details and resources instead of changing with the times and meeting all of our citizens where they are, how they live, by adopting new, adaptive methods to share information? I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else who has not had the opportunity to sign up that would like to speak? No, seeing none, call the public forum to close at 7 p.m. and we'll reconvene at 8 p.m. sharp right here for a regular scheduled meeting. Thank you all. Okay, good evening, everybody. It is 8 p.m. My name is Chris Pia, Town Council Chair. Today is November 8th, 2021, and I'm going to call the regularly scheduled meeting to order. First item is the Invocation Pledge, and I'll ask Councilor Hardin to give that tonight.
Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you for an opportunity to give you thanks and praise as we celebrate the veterans that went into war and died so that we may live. We send our prayers to their families and to the ones that they've lost. During the last couple of years, we suffered from COVID. We send prayers to the families who has lost family members due to COVID. We ask that you bestow your blessings upon us as a council to make decisions that are in better need for the community and for our residents. We thank you for our mayor. We thank you for her staff. We thank you for our present and outgoing council, people who have served the town unselfishly. We thank and we give you praise. Peace be with you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of October 12th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Laura Dancho, motion to approve.
Ms. Danjo, seconded by Councilor Poisson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is going to be the monthly TAN report by Finance Director Dawn Savo. Dawn?
Good evening. In the pony was the cash flow report for dated 11/1/2021, and you'll note at the end of the fiscal year we have a positive cash balance of 16.5 million. Well, that's the 24th, and then on 7/1 the following week, it's after a bond payment, it's 7 million and change, and then the week later, it's after another payment, debt payment, it's 4.2. So it's relatively unchanged from the last report.
Thank you, Dawn. Any questions for Ms. Savo on this item? Ms. Gann?
Thank you, Chris. Hi, Dawn.
Hello.
Good news regarding the projection to the end of the year. A couple of questions related to revenues. Is the town expecting any unbudgeted revenues, meaning items that we didn't include in the adopted budget for this fiscal year?
Well, there's always
Something,
there's always small amounts. I mean, there's no large amounts that I'm aware of.
and if we have budgeted revenues that may not come, that may not reach their projected levels, for example, interest income is an example, is that built in to the cash balance that we're expecting for the end of the fiscal year?
The cash amount is based normally on current. It's not based on,
Budget.
it's based on actuals and what we project. So it's not really tied exactly to the budget, if that answers your question. So for example, if a certain level has been proceeding for the past couple of months, we wouldn't anticipate the full amount going forward. Does that make sense?
Let's say through, whether it's tax arrears or other items, if we fell short by $2 million in revenues versus what we budgeted for, would that impact our expected cash balance at the end of the fiscal year?
Great.
Yes, any material changes in expenses or revenues would certainly has an impact on where we land at the end of the year, yes.
Okay. Thank you for the report.
Any other questions for Dawn? No, I just want to make sure. Give everyone the opportunity. No?
Okay.
Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda, Mayor's Report. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman. And to just echo Dawn's comments, any unexpected revenue losses, revenue gains usually go into the fund balance. Revenue losses are reduced by are equalized by the expense reduction, Counselor. Thank you for your question. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of you that have ran and won in this last Tuesday's election. Thank you for your time and your volunteer efforts. And to the council who is no longer going to be with us, thank you for your efforts, gentlemen. I appreciate your service and enjoyed working with you. As far as COVID updates, the clinics to provide the booster COVID shots are underway at the Birdside Municipal Complex. The health department is averaging 250 to 350 vaccines per clinic. They continue to offer Moderna and J&J for adults. In anticipation of the final approval of the Pfizer vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds, the health department will offer COVID vaccines to this age group on Wednesday, the 10th, and on November 17th at the Birdseye Complex. And those vaccine clinics will be from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 o'clock in the evening. An area apart from the gym has been established to vaccinate the younger group, and the recreation counselors have been enlisted to help entertain the children before and after they're vaccinated. Adult booster vaccines will be offered the same, but in the gym. The Stratford Health Department continue to organize homebound vaccinations and are planning for homebound booster shots. We continue to partner with Griffin Hospital to host pop-up COVID vaccination clinics in the community. Most recently, one was held at the Pumpkin Festival. I believe, Counselor, your daughter actually got her first vaccine, so that was great. It's nice to see. We also continue to offer first and second doses at the Stratford Health Department. The Stratford Health Department continues to offer flu shots on a limited basis. Many clinics for flu were held during the month of October. Contract tracing continues. Our town-wide vaccination rate is almost 70%, 69.95% as of 11/4, and that's for at least one vaccine. Our case rate is 10.6 per 100,000, and that's also as of November 4th. The Health Department launched a breastfeeding awareness campaign that promoted policy and environmental changes to support employees in engaging in this very healthy choice. As part of the Health Department's efforts, 3 local daycare centers met state standards and achieved recognition from the Connecticut Department of Public Health and the Connecticut Breastfeeding Coalition, and patrons as a breastfeeding-friendly workplaces. As part of the same Healthy Communities grant, area libraries, including our own Stratford Library, were provided rocking chairs and guidance in creating a breastfeeding nook for employees and for library patrons who wish to breastfeed their children. With only 22 days left in hurricane season as of Monday, today, there is still time to make a plan, create your household Go Kit, and to sign up to be on the Stratford Emergency Notification Call List, also known as Get Connected, to hear any emergency notifications. We had the grand opening of the Ruby and Calvin Fletcher African American Museum. Even though there were heavy downpours on October 30th, it could not dampen the spirits as we observed the grand opening of the Ruby and Calvin Fletcher African American History Museum at 952 East Broadway. Despite the weather, the grounds were filled with enthusiastic visitors to celebrate the museum's first official day. The museum would not have been possible without the vision of Jeffrey Fletcher and his parents and a remarkable collection. We congratulate him on the opening and welcome him enthusiastically to his second home in Stratford. The realization of this museum has been hard work on the part of many, particularly Jeffrey and his team, and the wonderful supporters such as Sherman and Sterling Law Firm, who sponsored that day's events. Our administration worked alongside Jeffrey and the town council, especially councilors Pia, Hardin, Connor, and O'Brien, who got behind this project with us early on. The museum's website will have hours posted beginning next week, so please take time to visit the museum and see the amazing work that has gone into these incredible exhibits, and welcome Jeffrey and the museum to Stratford. This year's Great Pumpkin Festival was a tremendous success, offering the return of great fun and activities for the family this season. The events included vendors, a costume parade, pumpkin carving contest, and more. I was pleased to join our 8th District Council member, Jim Connor, for the difficult task of judging the costume contest. Many thanks to all the volunteers, particularly those at the Booth Park Commission and our sponsor, Bridgeport Fittings, who made this event possible. The Center for Family Justice sponsored a regional violence awareness vigil at the Connecticut Beardsley Zoo. The vigil included elected leaders and law enforcement representatives from Stratford, as well as Bridgeport, Easton, Fairfield, Monroe, and Trumbull. The Center for Family Justice serves over 7,000 adults in all of these area communities, and we are fortunate enough to have a pilot location at the Bird's Eye Complex. We have a new roof at Bethlehem House 2 in Stratford. The roofing project at Bethlehem House is complete and represents collaboration between the town, Stratford Rotary, Catholic Charities of Fairfield County, Stratford Coalition for Homeless, GAF, and Paul Casey and Son Roofing. We are pleased with all of this is a fantastic example of the Stratford community coming together to help some of the most vulnerable members of our community. Bethlehem House is a transitional housing program of Catholic Charities, and the Stratford Coalition for Homelessness, Inc., accepting homeless families that are evicted or at risk to be homeless, that are of low income, and transitioning them into housing that is secure and stable. It's a pleasure to join U.S. Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro last week at the Stratford Police Department for a press conference on the award of $43,000 to the department as a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to support the training of all sworn officers at the Stratford PD in de-escalation of potentially volatile situations. Stratford is one of the only 2 municipalities in Connecticut that won funding for this competitive grant program. Congresswoman DeLauro supported Stratford's application for the grant with a letter of support from DOJ, recognizing the strong application and the town's commitment to enhancing training opportunities and strengthening the relationship of the department that it has with the community. Stratford Police Department is already a national leader when it comes to de-escalation efforts, thanks to Chief McNeil and his team. Their police engagement program seeks to de-escalate interactions with the police through training of police officers and citizens. $4 million of marsh restoration project was launched in Stratford. Last month, I was able to join Senator Kelly, U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal, and State Representative Joe Gresco, as well as officials from Connecticut Audubon and DEEP to announce the exciting partnership launching a restoration of the Great Salt Marsh. Since this project was announced in 2019, it has grown to represent $4.1 million investment in Connecticut's coastline. Just over $1 million was originally raised for this effort, and now it includes $3.7 million in funding from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the Nature Conservancy, and the Robert F. Schulam Foundation. The initial funding came from 3 natural resource damage caused case settlements relating to the contamination of sites close to the area, Raymark Industries, Lordship Point Gun Club, and the Housatonic River General Electric cases. These settlements were supported in planning through engineering and leveraged funds for the project and will be involved in the future, used for future monitoring. Last month, we had the opportunity to recognize 3 outstanding child care providers in Stratford in partnership with the Office of the Mayor, the Connecticut Department of Public Health, the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood, and Connecticut Breastfeeding Coalition. Despite the challenges of operating a child care facility during a pandemic, Honey Bear Learning Center, whose director is Catherine Vanicki, Bright Beginnings Family Daycare, Director Giselle Lankin, and Joseph Support Services, Director Reverend Peggy Joseph, persevered to achieve breastfeeding-friendly child care provider recognition through the Connecticut Breastfeeding Coalition. Honey Bear Learning Center went above and beyond by also working to achieve recognition as a breastfeeding-friendly worksite, which means that these facilities meet certain standards that demonstrate their support of parents and families in meeting their breastfeeding goals. A supportive child care and work environment can make a difference in whether families will choose to breastfeed or not, and how long they are able to continue breastfeeding. Thank you to the staff of each of these facilities for all you do to support Stratford families. We were proud to congratulate Helen Bunny McQuilton for receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Connecticut EMS Awards this year. Bunny has been with Stratford EMS for over 34 years, and her contributions as a volunteer, mentor, leader, and CPR instructor have been invaluable to Stratford and the EMS community. Thank you, Bunny, and congratulations on over 3 decades of honorable volunteer and EMS service. For upcoming events, we have Stratford Veterans Day observations, which will be on Thursday, November 11th at 11 a.m. at Academy Hill. This is sponsored by the VFW. Please join us if you're available. Stratford Veterans Museum will open on the 13th. There will be a ribbon cutting to celebrate the opening of the Stratford Veterans Museum at 5952 Main Street. It's near the building next to Putney Chapel. The ribbon cutting will be at 11 o'clock on the 13th, and then the museum will be open from 1 to 3 for open house. The Stratford Museum is to recognize those veterans from Stratford who have served honorably in war and in peace, and to act as a repository for their pictures and their history of service. The Stratford Police Activities League will be holding a paint night fundraiser this Friday, November 12th at Riverview Bistro. Cocktail hours at 4 and painting starts at 6. Excuse me. I'm pleased to be offering my volunteer services as a guest bartender for the evening to support the good work PAL does. And yes, all the tips will be donated. You can register for the event at stratfordpal.com. The town's annual menorah lighting, which is part of the Celebrate Stratford series, will take place on December 2nd at sundown at Town Hall. For those who have not witnessed Rabbi Stock and his large traveling menorah, which ignites after he lights the road flares, you will not want to miss it, so please stop by. It is truly lights the night. Holiday tree lighting will be this year on December 7th at 5:30 p.m. This Celebrate Stratford event is a festive time, and there will be refreshments, caroling, and visits from Santa Claus for the children. The Army Engine Plant, we have been assisting the developer with the projects that need to be completed prior to the closing and the transfer of the plant, including the tripartite documents and transition, outfall 8 remediation, flood controls, sewers, and utilities. The appraisal for the property of Center School was provided to the 2 developers and chosen, and they will be resubmitting their financial stacks and waiting for a presentation for the town council, which will be in the near future. Contract plating is currently being marketed for sale and for development. We've had some business openings. We've welcomed the Casey Group of Century 21 All Points Realty. The Casey Group is located at Riders Lane, and the Casey Group's veterans, Stacy Fancook and Karen Stokoff, bring combined 45 years of experience to home buyers and sellers throughout the region. They're located at Riders Landing at 6580 Main Street. I was fortunate enough to be at the Tasty Yolk when they opened to the public and met the owners Mike Bertanza and Eric Felito and their team this week. And they opened their doors, and they're located at Paradise Green. I highly recommend the chorizo and egg sandwich topped with their homemade hot sauce if you like spice. We also welcomed Barnum on Broadway. It was exciting to welcome them to Stratford. Owner Debbie Donovan and her staff offer dancing, tumbling, and music theater to all ages, from 2 years through adults. They are located on Barnum Avenue in the Kutcher Fellows Building. We also welcomed Frenchie's Coffee Bar to Stratford Center. Fish Bar de Le Mans will be opening in Station House Square shortly, and is announced today by the Department of Economic and Community Development. Technology Associates, which is an engineering firm, will be relocating from Stanford to 500 Ferry Boulevard. The following businesses are in the midst of leasing and purchasing additional space in Stratford: Nuova Pasta, Automotive Restoration, FedEx, Stratton Industries, Westport Provision, and Sunbelt Rentals. Motivated by the support and desire of Stratford restaurant community and our many talented performers, the Economic Development Commission has proposed a text amendment to the Stratford zoning regulations that will allow for indoor and outdoor music entertainment as long as it complies with the noise ordinance. The Zoning Commission will vote on this proposed text amendment at their meeting on November 10th. We've had a series of ribbon cutting scheduled for the next week. Julian Realty, opening in Paradise Green. Rotary Ski Shop, which is temporarily relocating to 555 Lordship Boulevard. And Ash Creek Enterprises, which has merged and moved to 999 Orinoco Lane. Discover Strange Stratford, which was a historic history tour for 2 weekends, these 2 past weekends, benefited Perry House, Booth Friends Park, and the Historical Society, was sold out. This partnership between the town of Stratford and Sterling House Community Center has established, again, the Stratford Community Calendar. This online resource for the town sponsors all events, and it's up and running. Shop Small Stratford is preparing for its initiative to promote small business in town, and that will take place the Saturday after Thanksgiving, November 27th. I asked the town council to approve the appointment of Joseph Bonatatabas Jr. to the Ethics Commission, filling the vacancy of Patricia Gallagher. And lastly but not least, the annual Thanksgiving football game between Stratford High School and Bunnell High School will be held at 7 o'clock at Bunnell High School on Wednesday, November 24th. I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Questions for the mayor? Open it up to the council for questions. Anybody? Greg?
Thank you, Chris. Mayor, 2 questions. Regarding center school reevaluation, I believe there was an original appraisal of the property. Can you give us the comparison between those 2 appraisals?
Counselor, I don't know that there was an original appraisal, which is why they had to go most recently to get this appraisal.
And the next topic is the Army engine plant. A few years ago, before COVID, we talked about dredging the mud flats and maybe that being a precedent to remediating the land. Can you give us an update on the status of the record of decision and the Army engine plant transformation?
So the record of decision, Counselor, was signed in May, and the developer and the Army have a term of 6 months to come through the due diligence for the conveyance. The original plan was for the mud flats to be dredged, the contamination of a certain level and below, not of high contamination or danger to humans, was to be put on the site and then developed as part of the cap. But based on the Army's funding and the sweeping of the funds for PFAS on the federal level, they decided not to do the dredging of the mud flats, but the record of decision had already been issued, and so the conveyance process had started, and so now they will be working on the upland portion.
Any other questions for the mayor?
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake.
Good evening, Mayor Hoydick. I first want to say congratulations to you on your reelection and to everyone else and to those that are leaving. Thank you for your service. I have 2 questions. My first question, I've been here all day, so I did not get the memo regarding the updated mask mandate. And I have 2 points in my question. The first is, help me understand how Stratford is still in the orange zone, and per the CDC for Fairfield County, they're still recommending that if you are not vaccinated, that you should be wearing a mask inside, and then per municipality, per the discretion, we can have different rules. So my question, to follow up to those points, is that when I read the memo, it stated regardless of vaccination status, that people can come into town buildings or any public building, regardless of vaccination status, and not have to wear a mask. I'm just trying to understand how we got to that conclusion.
So many of my colleagues in the surrounding area towns adjacent to us have never had a mask mandate, whether it's in town buildings or businesses or anywhere. And though we did, especially because we had cases spread through town hall, and I needed to stop that, was one of the reasons why I instituted the mask mandate in town buildings. Never had it in businesses in town, because you and I can choose to wear a mask wherever if we're uncomfortable. And so I thought that was a good option.
Any other questions for the mayor?
Can I ask my second question?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Thank you. So then just to clarify, this decision of the updated mask mandate here for Stratford is based on your interpretation with other people within our town, meaning the health department? Is that, I'm just trying to understand who else
Yes,
is
I
involved.
conferred with the health director. You know that, though, because you spoke to her, and I understand that, and you did your due diligence, and I respect you for that, too. But I spoke to the health department before I made that decision. The CAO has been talking to the staff to find out their comfort level, because part of the reason, again, that we had a mask mandate in town buildings was because of the spread of the virus within our own employees. And so once people had more of a comfort level, and once the more vaccinations were available for, now we're talking about 5-year-olds through 11-year-olds, which is great for a lot of people. It causes more comfort, less anxiety. I decided that I would remove the mask mandate from public buildings. However, in the case, if the rate should increase, then I might put a mandate back onto public buildings again. And congratulations to you, too, on your election.
Thank you. Can I ask my separate second question?
Go ahead.
In light of what has happened in the city of West Haven, I think we're all hyper aware of what unfortunately has happened in some municipal budgets and how they have actually used their CARES funding. So my request, if you are open to it, and I think it would actually help to prove the transparency and accountability in the process of what we have collectively done and how we are going to essentially invest that funding that we are allocated, would be to call for a forensic audit of our own CARES funding here in Stratford, just to let people have a peace of mind moving forward.
Thank you for that suggestion. I'm so happy to report that we are far from West Haven, maybe not in demographics, but in fiduciary responsibility. We are not MARB. We have been very transparent. You all have had a chance to weigh in on all the spending that we've done. And I thank God that Rosa Delores' office has spent the time with our finance director and our CAO, as well as myself, to advise us on how to spend the money and the pitfalls of employing people that we couldn't maintain at a long-term rate, because this is a grant and it's a very short-term window that we have this funding. As far as a forensic audit, we are going through an audit all the time, and the Director of Finance can come and speak to it because the auditors have been here. In fact, we had to reshuffle some people around from certain meetings. And Dawn, if you wouldn't mind answering the councilwoman's, or assuring her what we're investigating and what we're doing through this audit, so she has some comfort. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. To let the council know, and Councilor Sheikh, that the auditors, as you know, come every year. They're on site usually for 2 weeks. They're here. This week is one of their 2 weeks that they're here. And as part of the town's annual audit, there's a state and federal component, and they're required to audit certain grants that have large expenditures. And obviously the CARES, the first allocation that we received, is one of those. So as part of that, they test expenditures, and that means that we pull all the invoices, we give them payroll records, they review these in detail. And part of that is because the state is also leaning on the auditors to do more of that on-site investigation into what was spent, because the state doesn't really have the capacity to do that, even though we also report to the state on all of this funding. So there's many levels of review that happened. I don't know what happened in West Haven, how that was uncovered, or, but all of our funding and the Board of Ed funding is going through an audit process right now for the CARES funding.
Thank you, Dawn. And just for clarification, can you explain for anyone who's listening what the difference is between the audit you're describing versus a forensic audit?
My understanding of the forensic audit would be, I don't really know if there's a great difference actually in a forensic audit for that type of review. Chris, did you want to clarify that?
I'm happy to talk about a forensic. I mean, a forensic audit is actually quite serious. They get into all the details, ranging from every receipt cast to the products coming in. It's incredibly early. When I saw the West Haven case, I ran into the finance director's office and I'm like, how is this even possible? How could a sitting state representative, basically he's being accused of taking $635,000. He created an LLC and billed against the LLC for products which they never received. Plus it appears that he had some consulting gig he was charging that too. And the crazy thing is, like, West Haven's already under MARB. So here they have state oversight already in place, and it's being taken advantage of right in front of everybody by one individual. So I ran in and we checked with the finance. We don't have that scenario whatsoever. In addition to that, when that happened, OPM fired off another round of, hey guys, send us your information, let us know what you're spending the money on. OPM took control of the whole political rhetoric which was going on, because you had different levels of state agencies saying, hey, we have oversight of this. The state Senate was getting involved. The House of Representatives had to get involved, because one of their sitting members was actually the one being accused, who later had to resign from the situation. I'm sure I can get the lawyer's answer of the technical difference between a forensic audit and the regular audit which we go through. The regular audit we go through, as Dawn described, is very complete, and it's been very reliable, and It's actually a fascinating book if you haven't read it when they come out with it. But
Thank you for clarifying, Mr. Timiak. My intention was to clarify inquiries that I've received from my constituents. So I'm just trying to relay part of their inquiry directly to this body and essentially to you and to Dawn. I am not trying to politicize this, comparing our town to another town just in reference because of where it happened. So if you could please answer my question.
So,
forensic audit
Mr.
is
O'Clair,
yeah,
if you can answer, we're going to move on after your answer, please.
Yeah, briefly, a forensic audit is usually a term referred to an audit whose purpose is to obtain and cull together evidence to be used in a criminal or civil proceeding.
Thank you, Mr. O'Clair.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the mayor? No? Okay, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda, item 4.3.1, building needs. I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Poisson.
I'd like to make a motion to approve items 4.3.1A, B, and C. It's the school roof replacements for Worcester Middle School, Second Hill Lane, and Chapel School.
Motion by Councilor Poisson. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Harden. Do I have discussion on the item? Building needs to spend a lot of time on this.
Chris?
Thank you guys for, yes, Mr. Greg, you have a question? Good.
Thank you. Do we, can someone speak to the CIP levels that were approved for each of these three projects?
Mr. Timniak, do you have that?
Yes.
See if you have the book. Chris, the question was to the CIP in the numbers, and to your knowledge, were any of these above and beyond what we approved?
No, all three of them combined came in under what we allocated for.
Thank you, Mr. Timniak. Any other further discussion on the item? No? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is the town attorney report.
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on 1 second. We're going to...
Before we go into executive session, Councilman, I just wanted to briefly report on the status of the national opioid litigation that the town has been a party to, that we have registered to be part of any settlement, that it appears that a settlement is forthcoming. We don't have any details about it, but we'll be on a video conference call on November 18 to get some details, and when we have more information, we'll report to the council.
Thank you, Attorney Hodgson. Next item will be 4.4.1. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for a matter.
Mr. Chairman, I move to enter into executive session for item 4.4.1 for the purpose of discussing pending litigation. Entering into executive session will be all council members, Mayor Hoydick, Town Attorney Hodgson, Assistant Town Attorneys Floric and Leclerc, CAO Timniak, and Chief of Staff Downs.
I have a motion by Mr. O'Brien.
Second.
Mr. O'Brien. Per the direction of the mayor, recommend you amend that to add Finance Director Dawn Savo, as well as Assistant Town Attorney Tom Cotter.
Okay, so moved.
HR Director, Mr.
And Ron
Ing.
Ing also. So moved.
Do I have a second to the motion? Mr. Connor, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. We'll go into executive session. Thank you.
Yeah, I've said it.
All right, we'll take our seats. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we
Mr.
come
O'Brien?
out of executive session.
Motion to come out of executive session. Do I have a second? I have a second by Councilwoman Dancho. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Mr. O'Brien?
And I move that we approve what was discussed in executive session.
Motion by Mr. O'Brien. Do I have a second? Mr. O'Brien, if you could restate per the
So
town
moved
attorney.
as stated by the town attorney.
You should, Bill, if you could say it, that'd be for the record.
Motion.
You got it.
The correct motion would be a motion to authorize the town attorney to proceed as was discussed in executive session.
So moved.
We have the motion by Mr. O'Brien.
What he said.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Councilwoman Dancho. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cotter. Next item on the agenda is items under resolutions is item 6.2.1. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Mr. Councilman Perillo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Taveras. Any discussion? Everyone was provided a grant fact sheet, which I find these are great new template. I find very helpful. Does anyone have any questions for Tammy is here? No? Great. Another great grant. Thank you very much. We'll move it. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda, item 6.2.2. I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Harden? Saw your hand.
It's a resolution regarding the Fairfield County Community Foundation Program. This is a grant for the South End Community Center that will expend funds to implement the Summer Learning Enrichment and Employment Program of 2022. And this is in the amount of $18,000, requiring zero amount matching dollars from the town.
Motion by Councilor Harden. Second by Mr. Councilor Perillo. Any question, any discussion on this item? Again, the grant fact sheet was provided. If anybody doesn't have anything else to add? No? Okay, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is item 6.2.3. I'll entertain a motion. Say it into your mic.
Make a motion to accept 6.2.3.
Motion by Councilman Perillo. Do I have a second to that?
Second by Dave Harden.
Second by Councilor Harden. Any discussion? Again, the motion's for a click it or ticket seatbelt enforcement. So again, another grant. Thank you, officers from the police department. Lieutenant Leon. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is item 6.2.4. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I
Councilwoman
motion
Dancho.
to approve item 6.2.4, a resolution regarding the 2022 Federal Clean Vessel Act grant administered through the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection for the town's pump-out boat operations in the amount of $33,746.25, requiring $11,249 in town match.
Motion made by Councilwoman Dancho. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. O'Brien. Any discussion? Again, an annual grant for the pump-out boat. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is item 6.2.5. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien.
I move 6.2.5, the resolution regarding Sterling House grant of $2,510,000 in order to undertake improvements at Sterling House.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilor O'Brien. I have a second by Councilwoman Shake. Any discussion on this? Everybody loves Sterling House. All right, awesome. We'll call for a vote. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 7.1. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept item 7.1. This is referred by the Zoning Commission with a favorable recommendation to subsequent to a public hearing and vote to opt out of the accessory dwelling unit / apartment provisions of Public Act 2129.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Dancho. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. O'Brien. Any discussion on this? Everyone was provided a letter from Chairman Silhavy as well as from Jay Bansky, the Planning and Zoning Administrator, and the Pony. I'll open it up for discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Taveras.
Thank you. The reasons for that the Zoning Commission is out there is pretty ambiguous. It even admits that PA 2129 offers diversity in housing options in Stratford's residents to all single-family homes. But I would like to know what were the alternative strategies that would warrant them opting out, and what are the consistent goals and objectives that would be from the Stratford Housing Partnership. It just, like I said, it's just pretty ambiguous. It doesn't really explain what would be the benefit of opting out. It's something that's already proven with this ordinance that the housing options would be good for Stratford.
So I'll, excuse me. Mr. Taveras, to your question, the letter in the zoning, which if you look at the minutes from it, the zoning board voted unanimously 5-0 in a bipartisan fashion to opt out of this. All it would be doing, and I'm all for working with the zoning board and Stratford Housing on developing this program going forward. This is simply opting out of the state statute and basically allowing each zoning board to develop its own strategy. That's what I'm for, and that's the reason that I'm for opting out of the state mandated. So it's actually giving more power to the local zoning boards and the local housing authority to develop their own strategy that, quite frankly, is more beneficial and localized to their town.
Would this encompass just certain districts, or is this town-wide?
It's town-wide.
And also, this the part where there's a choice, is this a choice for just discussion, or is this a vote for the different options? I'm looking at page, the second page of this? Yeah.
So 7.1 was referred to opt out. They voted 5-0 in opting out.
Yeah.
It would require the town council to also vote on that as well. So it would be to opt out and to allow them, their purview is to develop their own strategy.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake.
Excuse me. So just for my own clarification and anyone else, per the Housing Partnership report or study that was given to all of us, accessory dwelling units were listed as a potential solution to the great housing needs that are throughout the whole town. So I would like to know if there were any alternatives brought to the table. I mean, obviously, they have provided the minutes to us, but as opposed to, I guess I have further questions that are not essentially answered in the information that was given to us.
So again, this is purely for opting out of the state mandated to then allow our town, our community, to develop its own standards, which I am all for, because I firmly believe in local should be decided at the local level by our local elected officials, and that's all that this is doing.
Was there did they offer a timeline for us of when they would offer?
Yep, it has to be done within the next year. Any other discussion on the item? Greg?
Discussion, yes, Chris, if you could bear with me. Your response to Caitlin was it has to be done within the next year. That is the PCD, that's zoning. So the zoning is, what would require us to come up with ADU regulations within the next 12 months?
I can't speak for the zoning board, Greg. We're the town council. We don't decide zoning. You know that. But this is simply, again, this is a zoning matter. I think it should reside with the zoning board.
Through the chair, a question
You may.
for the town attorney. I want to introduce an amendment, and if I do, then we have a discussion regarding that amendment.
If the chair recognizes you, you can make an amendment, and then you would require a second, and once seconded, there would be a discussion on the amendment,
Okay.
followed by a vote on the amendment, and then back to the main motion as or as not amended.
Thank you. Do I still have the floor, Chris?
Like to make a motion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
The motion is to amend 7.1. The bullet says opt out of the accessory dwelling unit provisions of Public Act 2129. The second page of the memo, the one that was signed by Jay Hibansky, it describes 3 alternatives for a municipality. My amendment is to use option 2, and I would just use the language, allow for ADUs for temporary trial period and opt out before January 1st, 2023, if the commission feels that the PA 2129 is proven ineffective for the town.
So motion by Mr. Can.
Second.
Second by Mr. Taveras. Any discussion on that? Greg, my only concern on that is anything done essentially, let's call it in the gray area of the next year, could allow a gray area and have unconforming units. So that's why I would not be for that.
Discussion?
Can
I have other, yep, Mr. Connor.
You know, a couple things. First, I think we're, as a council, and I think the chairman said this, that it's really a planning, and they went 5-0. Now, we're not really privy to you're asking to maneuver and change there for whatever reason. I'm not sure, because it's pretty clear. This is only about keeping Hartford from, the way I understand it, from driving without us having any say down there. I can't see why you would be against that, why you wouldn't just accept that as it is, because Hartford doesn't have a real good reputation, in my opinion. They spend a lot of money, they do a lot of things, but I don't think that I want them telling us where to build houses here. That's to me, so I'd like to leave it alone. That's be my feeling, because the planning and zoning did the work on it.
Any other discussion on this amendment via Mr. Can? No, Greg? Comment?
Thank you, Chris.
We'll call for a vote.
I heard Chris, Jim, I understand. The housing partnership, you know, I believe the state took their actions of this 2129 because of what I'll call a procrastination by many municipalities not to change their zoning or adapt to what our own housing partnership said was, let me remember the word, a majority of the town residents demonstrate that they're housing insecure. That's the word. And it presents ADUs as a viable alternative. So where the state seems to open it up more broadly than we will if we change our zoning, we've not yet made any zoning changes. So we have resolutions, but we don't have any zoning solutions. This 1-year period, this trial period, would give interested parties in the town an opportunity to pursue ADUs, and if the zoning board feels that those are out of character with the town, then they can go and opt out at that time. So we have a viable solution, part of our own housing partnership, which is to enable ADUs.
Greg, if you could finish and wrap up.
Well, I'm not sure which part is not true. The housing partnership describes ADUs as a viable solution. It shows that it was supported by 80% of the housing partnership members. There's a graph to the left. It says 80% of the housing partnership members supported ADUs as an alternative that would work for the town. Now, it hasn't been zone regulated yet. So by enabling a one-year grace period, we would provide a window of time for interested parties to pursue their individual applications, and we still have 12 months to opt out.
Thank you. So the zoning board felt otherwise and voted 5-0 unanimously to not. And I'm going to call the amendment for a vote. So a vote yes would be to amend per Mr. Cannon's request. A vote no would be to not amend. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
To vote to...
To vote in, excuse me, in favor of Mr. Cannon's amendment.
Aye.
3. All those opposed?
No.
Chair votes no. Motion fails 3-7. Back to the original motion. Seeing no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of opting out for item 7.1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
3 opposed. Motion passes 7-3. Next item on the agenda, item 7.2. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman.
I heard Mr. O'Brien.
Sorry, I got the, I was looking at the wrong one.
Who would like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Mr. Dancho. I
Ms.
motion
Dancho.
to accept the zoning commission favorable recommendation subsequent to public hearing and to opt out of the limited reduction of parking requirement provisions set forth in Connecticut General Statutes Section 8-2D9 pursuant to Public Act 21-29.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Dancho. Do I have a second? Second by Councilor Hardin. Any discussion? Again, similar letter, similar scenario. Again, voted in favorably by the zoning board to opt out. Any further discussion? Mr. Cann.
Thank you, Chairman Pia. For the reasons that we often hear with affordable housing applications before the town, parking is always an issue. In this case, I do agree with opting out so that the town can establish its own case-by-case parking requirements for any affordable housing.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is item 7.3. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. O'Brien.
for 7.3, I move that the award of town bid number 2022-14 Longbrook Tennis Courts to Classic Turf Company based upon the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $703,918. Be and here is hereby approved, and that the mayor be and is hereby authorized to enter into a contract for such in form acceptable to the town attorney.
I have a motion by Mr. O'Brien. Do I have a second?
A second it.
I have a second by Councilor Perillo. Any discussion? So we have Mr. Schneider here. Hi, Brian, if you'd like to come up. For any questions from the council, this has gone through Parks and Rec, I believe, Mr. O'Brien, correct?
Hello.
Yeah. So I'll open up for discussion on this item. And
Mr. Schneider. Oh, sorry.
Yep,
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Shea, go
if I
ahead.
may. Hello.
Hi.
I'm the chairwoman of the Longbrook Park Commission. And my question to you is, if you could please disclose with us what some of the changes in the surrounding land would be with this project. How many trees specifically are going to be removed? Because it is my understanding that there have been changes made since the original proposal was given to Longbrook Park, which was 7 months ago, and we have not gotten any formal updates of where the current plan is. So if you could please disclose to us how the topography or wetlands or in that detail of how it will be changed with the current project.
To fit the 4 proposed tennis courts, there are 8 trees that need to be removed. And the engineer of record, Milome and McBroom, they worked with the conservation superintendent to work out new plantings, so there's at least the same number of trees going back that are coming down to make room for the 2 additional tennis courts.
For the record, when we were given the presentation on this project, it was, I believe, a guarantee of no more than 5 trees, and even that made the commission somewhat uncomfortable because it will change, what that part of the park looks like. So this is on the bid, and I respect that, but at some point, and I have brought this up at 2 other meetings, there was a discussion of an 824 review, and I still have not gotten an official update on the status of that, but
Per the town attorney, can you clarify that, as I believe Assistant Town Attorney Jackson spoke to it?
Yeah, I spoke to Attorney Jackson today. He was ill this evening and couldn't make it, but we went through the case law and determined that the Planning Commission's approval is not needed where there's not a substantial improvement to be made in relative to the size of the park. Just replacing the existing tennis courts was not considered to be a substantial improvement.
so the removal of 8 giant oak trees, I believe they are, is not considered a change?
Not relative to the size of the park, no.
Have you been to the park?
And Caitlin, is there any other questions for the?
I'm just, myself and the incoming vice chair of Longbrook Park Commission, there's going to be a large pushback, for lack of a better description, of the residents who not only enjoy the park, but for those who frequent the park and directly live around the park. So we have to figure out how we're going to have and hold public comment for this project.
So there was public comment at Parks and Rec, Planning Commission, and I'm sure if we check the minutes on the record, there's been discussion about it, and as well as, and I understand your concern about the trees. I'm glad to hear they did their due diligence with Kelly Kerrigan, who is the tree warden, as well as the conservation in town. I'm all for, we bonded the $700,000 to redo these courts. People are begging us left and right all over town for additional courts for not only tennis but pickleball. I love the idea that this is going to be able to provide, Stratford High to be able to play there, and also in addition, because people can't play on courts on school grounds during school hours, this is going to allow people all over town. So this is a win-win for everybody. I get it. We're going to plant some new trees, and it's being done the right way, but I see this as a big positive for the town.
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully disagree with what you're saying, because the process of how we have gotten to this juncture was described to myself and Mr. Perillo, who is the current vice chair, that it goes through Longbrook Park, it then goes to Parks and Rec, it then goes to Planning, and then they make that decision of the 824, and then Public Works, and then it goes out to bid. So clearly, there was no communication, there's no formal communication. I have not had one email from Parks and Rec or Public Works on an update of what this project status is now.
Respectfully, Ms. Shake, you're completely wrong with no communication.
I am the chair, and I have not gotten one
you're completely
email.
wrong. So is there any further discussion on this? No? Okay.
Chris?
Mr. Can?
Go
ahead.
Caitlin said she'd received, as the chairman, no communication regarding the revision of the plans. You mentioned she's completely wrong. Would you give her the respect of...
She stated that there was no communication in all those committees, Greg. We all know everything is posted online in certified minutes. We all know that. And I'm not arguing with Caitlin. I understand she's representing her district, but this has been a project that has been on town record by this council, by many bodies for almost 6 months now, and we funded it already. The simple fact that they've done their due diligence to revise it, to take into account the the environmental landscape by not only getting the Conservation Committee involved, shows that they're looking forward. It's a good project. It helps a lot of people.
So one more request through the chair to ask Attorney Hodgson a question.
You may.
Thank you. You mentioned regarding planning, it was exempt. When you have Parks and Recs and you have Short Beach Commission and you have Longbrook Commission, there might, was the hierarchy of approvals met in this case?
I would say it was. I mean, in the question that I reviewed with Bruce today was specifically, does the Planning Commission need to review it? And we decided that based on other cases that we've seen, when we look at what a substantial improvement is, it's relative to the overall size of the park, so that would not be met here.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. O'Brien.
I wanted to point out that Park Superintendent Chad Esposito attends all Parks and Rec Committee meetings and also Longbrook Park Commission meetings, and I consider him as like the communicator between us all.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. All right,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
And I'll just follow up with what Councilor O'Brien just said, that everything that's discussed in those meetings, especially at Parks and Rec, is, like you stated, online, on the minutes, published and distributed to everywhere. So the plans have been distributed, they're part of the minutes, so they're very out there for everybody to see.
Thank you, Mr. Poisson. We're going to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Ms. Shake opposed. Motion passes 9-1. Next item on the agenda is item 7.4.1. I'll entertain a motion. Or is this a council chair? Mr. Town Attorney? This was a confirmation, so it would just be chairman reading? Okay. So item 7.4.1 is a confirmation of a mayoral appointment. As Mayor Hoydick stated earlier, be it resolved that the mayor's appointment of Joseph Bonitatabis, Mr. Bonatabas, to the Ethics Commission be and is hereby confirmed. Does not require a vote. Next item on the agenda. So we decided to wrap it up this evening with giving all the counselors 3 minutes to, as we did a couple years ago, to say, being that this is our last meeting for this council, and as Margot so clearly made it a nice historical piece, if you look at your front of your agenda, this is the 50th session of the Stratford Town Council. So thank you for doing a little homework on that, Margot. So we're going to give every counselor 3 minutes to say your piece. For those moving on, for those returning, thank you all for your service. And I'd like to start over here with Ms. Shake. So we'll give everyone a few minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It has been an extremely unique experience serving with all of you over the last almost 2 years. I'm thankful for all of the lessons that I have learned, good and bad. I'm thankful that despite the many challenges, that there has still been opportunities for working together, trying to work through our differences in different committees or boards that each of us sit on, in addition to sitting here collectively as council. I take my responsibility very seriously in lieu of all the people that I represent in my district, in District 2. And some people may say, because when we look at the map of Stratford, how District 2 looks on that map, going into different corners and pockets and aligning next to, I believe it's 6 other districts. But I love my district, and I love that there are so many different neighborhoods, that we have multiple areas within Stratford to reflect really a lot of people who are proud and happy to call Stratford home. I'm happy to have learned, with Councilor Can, as the experienced, as I call him, counselor with us. It's been a journey, and I did not know if I was going to be sitting here again with all of you for another 2 years, up until this afternoon, but I'm happy and honored to have the privilege of representing my district and the people of Stratford, and I hope that we continue to do what's best for everyone and to keep the needs of people all throughout our town, not just in our own district, in our minds when we make these decisions that directly impact the people that we serve. So thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Councilwoman Shake. Mr. Taveras.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, it was definitely a pleasure to serve. Some of you I've known even before getting into serving on the town. I'm a lifelong resident, and just as Caitlin eloquently said, never thought I'd be sitting here in the seat of power, and with an awesome responsibility. Even though there might be some things that we disagreed on for the most part, many of the things we've done best serve this town. And even though my road is changing, like I said, I'm not going to go back into what was said before, but you know, as long as I have breath in my body, I will certainly do my best to keep serving Stratford in other ways. I wish you all well. Congratulations to all of you who have won, and happy trails for those of you who are going on. I guess it's like a big football game. You hit each other hard, but at the end of the game, you shake hands and you say, you know what, good play, and still have support for all of you. And I just wish, again, that always remember that keep doing what's best for Stratford. I don't plan on going anywhere unless the man upstairs says something. So, like I said, if anybody needs me to do anything that will certainly help this town, please do not hesitate to call. I still will do what I can to help out. Congratulations, Madam Mayor. I've known you before you've gotten here, and I hope that with some of you that we still can have remain civil and even be friends. So thank you all. It's a pleasure to serve, and this has just been a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taveras. Mr. Harden.
I'd like to first off congratulate everyone who won, and I'd like to wish the best for those of us who are moving on. It's been a great 6 years, and I've learned a lot about running the district. One of the things I had to learn about is it wasn't about self, it was about the needs of my district. In order to move forward, I had to think about my needs and put my personal battles aside so that I could move forward. And I'd like to thank the opposite side for working well with me and working well and understanding the needs of my district and understanding how we can work together to move forward. I'd like to wish the oncoming council person for the 4th District the best of luck and, you know, extend my hand out for information and, you know, ongoing projects. Mayor, I'd like to thank you for opening your door and your staff for having compassion for the town and really helping us as leaders move forward. And there's never a time where you didn't say, what could I help you with and what could I do for you and how do we get here together? And those are some of the important things that I'll think about as I move forward and serving the town in another capacity. This is not the end of me. I'm sure you'll see me around doing other things and, you know, assisting in other ways. And it's sad to go, but they used to say, you know, lights are off, you have to go home and you have to get out of here. So this is a chance for me to get out of here and move forward. And again, I just want to say thank you to the town of Stratford employees for putting up with my temper tantrums and demands and weird requests at certain times of the day and morning. And I'd like to thank you for respecting me as the 4th District Councilman. And again, Mayor, I wish you the best, and we'll have coffee soon. And Mr. Pia, the chairman, thank you for all your respect. I wish everybody well.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. Mr. Can.
Grr. It's not a speech. Going to take a little different note. The bipartisan, a real bipartisan, I think we started out the first year, but the dialogue kind of eroded, disappeared. Emails not replied to, text messages, phone calls. I hope that the new council will get us back to the point where inquiries from any one of us would be respected and responded to. We're going to have 2 new council members, coming 3, so that, you know, they all have an opportunity to communicate with their peers and not be shut out simply because they're an R or a D. Often during these meetings, we refer to minutes. Go look at the minutes. The minutes only record the votes. If I go online and look for any attachments, for example, related to Longbrook Tennis Court, it's not there. It may have been handed out during a meeting, but it's not posted online like some members have insinuated. So when I ask questions, it's because it's not in the minutes and I want clarification. An example might be a CIP project. Longbrook was just approved. It's in last year's or the year before CIP, but sometimes you got to go back 3 or 4 years. And rather than having each of us independently do that exercise, I've repeatedly asked that once we approve with a low bid a capital project, that we just make note what year was it authorized and how much was set aside. That's an important delta because each time we do CIP, we go out to bond, I should say, we authorize the mayor with some discretion to utilize those funds with advice of her team. So it'd be nice to be cognizant of what those funds were so we may contribute ideas, provide recommendations to the mayor. Rules related to the public forum and the possibility of a council person having, say, a 1-minute response. As we have the new council and we get to new rules, I hope we can have a dialogue around some of those ideas so people can come to town hall once. That's okay. Thank you all. See you in a few weeks.
Thank you, Greg. Mr. Poisson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's clear that the voters of this town have sent a clear message with their votes, re-electing Republican Mayor Hoydick, maintaining a Republican majority on the town council, and giving the Republicans a majority on the Board of Ed and land use commissions and boards. I'd personally like to thank the residents of the 6th District who have elected me for the 5th time, and it's been nice serving with everybody. I'm looking forward to 2 more years of working with the administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poisson. Mr. Perillo.
I'm grateful, honored, and to have the opportunity to work with this whole council. I wish you all the best and keep up the hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Perillo. Mr. Connor.
Mr. Perillo deferred his three minutes to me, so I have 6 minutes. I'm only kidding.
No, I'm holding you to 3.
No. Couple things. I'm the old timer here. I'm the longest serving, and I can tell you, I think what people don't realize, and it took me a long time to realize, government works slow, and I think our forefathers and the law is planned that way, whether we want to admit it or not, because when you make quick decisions on things, whether they're cutting trees down or not defending the south end on some issue or blaming the north end on issue, whatever the situation is, whether bias, it's best that it takes time to get there. Sometimes it doesn't fit. For whatever we're trying to do, it doesn't fit. We're not going to solve all these problems. You know, to address a couple things that Greg said. Greg, I think, though, you have to do some reflecting because, quite frankly, you ramble on a lot and say a lot of things that nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. So if you can learn to be a little more concise, you might get a shorter answer. You know, that's just the reality of it because all of us work. And, you know, you send a 5-page resume of everything going on. You want every dot dotted. It's easy to say that. It's very easy to get back in here and do it. So, you know, like I said, I will reflect on what you said. I'd ask you to reflect on what I said, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Mr. O'Brien.
Well, perfect segue is I'm one who believes in action and less talk, but I wish especially the outgoing members, good luck in the future, and Paul, who we haven't especially got along that well because of an incident some time ago. But I never thought I would run for council. But then in 2017, when Laura Hoydick said to me she was thinking of running for mayor, I said, well, I might run for council. And she held me to that. That was the first step. And the second one, the 2015-2017 council was a disgrace to our town. They were embarrassing. They couldn't even pass a budget their final year. But I'm so glad to have served and been part of the tremendous progress of the last 4 years. During this campaign, I heard so many people talk about how highly they thought of you and the job you have done. And so many Democrats said to me they were disgusted by the negative mailings by the opposition, and I hope they learn from that. But I could go on for about 10 minutes talking about from forest to shore, all the things that have happened. And I love to represent the 9th District, but I'd love to represent the whole town. And I'll get calls from people in every district, and I'll try to help them if I can. Can't help with everything, but we try. I mean, it was fun even in Paul's district to see the new, a playground on Columbus Ave get renovated, and the Juliet Lowe Park, which, too bad there was opposition, would have been a great spot for the splash pad. And then when you talk about flooding, I was glad to hear Stephanie say it's not just a South End issue because it's all over town. Every viaduct in town floods. That's in the middle of town. And I've seen plenty of flooding in the North End. So we are a great town on the shore. One of our assets is our shoreline. But one of the things that hurts us in one of the battles is dealing with the shoreline and all the water. But working together will solve the problem. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Ms. Nancho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have had a great experience over the last 4 years serving District 10, and I never thought that I would see myself in this spot ever, but here I am, and here I am for another 2 years, of which I'm very grateful for. I feel like I've met a lot of really wonderful people. I've enjoyed working with every single one of you. We've done some great things in our town, and I'm proud of a lot of our accomplishments, a lot of improvements that are happening in our town. My favorite part is helping the constituents in District 10 directly, similar to what Bill said. I'd like to listen to anyone with an issue and do what I can to help them. Congratulations to everyone who's moving forward. I'm happy to be one of you, and for the few of you that are leaving, I wish you all well. Happy and healthy next journey. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Nancho. I'll be brief. Thank you all for your support of myself as your chairman for the last 2 years. It has been an honor and a great experience in my life, and I will not forget it. People ask me a lot, how do you do it, and what are some of the things, the takeaways? And I say it's a very unique experience that I know 99% of people will never have the opportunity to do. And I highly encourage anyone to run for public office because not enough good people come out, irregardless of your political beliefs, not enough good people come out and actually put their name forward. So I challenge those who talk a lot to actually put their name forward, irregardless of party, because it's a great thing to give back to the place you live. To Paul, David, Billy, thank you for your last 2 years of service. We'll miss you. To everyone returning, congratulations on your reelection. And to our new oncoming council people, 3 people coming on board, looking forward to working with you all. Madam Mayor, congratulations. It's been an honor to work with you, and looking forward to another 2 years. And thank you all for this evening. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Poisson, do I have a second? Mr. O'Brien, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all.